Hey guys, we got Damian Box on today's episode. Local entrepreneur, Damian Box Branding. We get into the humble beginnings, his interest in art, from attending high school at Beale to the corporate world at Caesars Windsor to bringing it back to his own company. Worked with some amazing companies out there, many brands that you guys recognize. Make sure you don't leave your branding as an afterthought. If you're building your business, put it at the forefront. If you have another business, if you already have a business, what are you doing with your branding? When's the last time you looked at it? Anyways, I gotta be honest, bit of a banger. You're not gonna wanna miss it.
Damian Box, welcome to the show. I'm pretty pumped to have you here, man.
Thank you.
Since we started this podcast venture, you've been on top of my mind to get you here. I know that some scheduling conflicts and that sort of thing, we had to kind of wait it out, but you're here now, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Welcome.
It's great to have you. I mean, we kind of know each other, or we've known each other throughout the years. I don't know how. I think you're just one of those guys that, you know,
Maybe knows everybody.
yeah, I think so.
I get around, yeah.
Damian gets around for sure, and you know, we'll talk about that. But definitely, I think, you know, what we want to talk about today with what you do and your business and your expertise will resonate with every business in terms of branding, and the importance of branding. I think it's I think a lot of people, you know, and we can get right into this, is that, you know, I'm a branding guy. I think it's extremely important to start with a strong brand with your business. And I just feel that people may not pay as close attention to their branding as they should. And I'm curious about what your thoughts are on that, and, you know, how you started in branding. Have you always been a creative guy, or, you know, what is it with you? Because I see a Damian Box brand, and I know it's yours right away,
thanks.
man. Yeah. Tell us.
I got that signature look.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started off, I was always an artist. I went to school for art. I did Beale Art in London, Ontario. I won a whole bunch of art awards as a child growing up.
Nice.
Drawing, sketching, illustration. Even at Beale, I focused on advertising art. And I was always, even when Facebook was really kind of taken off, I think I was always putting myself on covers of magazines, always putting myself out there. And even my mom would always be like, "Oh, Damian, you're just putting yourself on everything." But like, I was doing it before it was actually a thing.
Nice.
You know? So I think self-promotion was always big for me. My dad was a DJ, ran some clubs, and he was always creating flyers and brochures.
Oh, cool.
And I was always going to high schools and handing out flyers to promote our DJ company. So I definitely was always putting myself out there alongside my dad. He was a pioneer, doing it with him. So
Nice.
I think the self-promotion, I was doing that before, I guess, a lot, even the digital started. We were always in print, right?
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree there.
No, it doesn't.
No. So you're a kid. Like, how old are you when you're like literally handing it like child labor?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. He had me on the plan, right?
Yeah.
I think even like at 16, we were out there
Nice.
doing
Oh, you're not that
16,
young,
17, 18. Yeah. But
Were you designing his flyers for him at that point?
no, my dad actually it was back like, I actually did some illustrations for some of the flyers back then, but yeah, I was designing back then a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that's cool.
Beale Art, obviously,
Yes.
you would have been in the heat of it at 16.
Yeah.
So yes, it's interesting to talk about and see folks who are in the world now, like professionally as an adult, where the little interest and you know, experience as a child kind of carried all the way through.
Yeah, I guess definitely thinking about that in a way of the evolution of it. It's been a kind of a slow burn, but I've always been in it, right? And then, you know, digital really ramp things up in regards to marketing yourself. And
it's interesting, right? Because you know, I went to school for graphic design. I'm a graphic designer as well, and always, you know, kind of the you know, in grade, it was funny, in grade 8, I did a caricature of every single classmate. I still don't know how the hell I did that, but I was always the guy to be like, hey, like, get Ryan to draw it or design it or whatever, right? And it was never I was just like, okay, I guess I'm good at this, right? And then I was fortunate to actually for it to be a career like yourself, right?
Yes.
And I kind of want to talk to you about that in terms of like, was this something that you had on your radar that you actually realized could be a career? And how did that evolve? How did that evolve for you?
The girl I was dating at the time said, "Hey, there's this course, graphic design, in Toronto at George Brown." So we were dating. She was moving to Toronto, so I thought, she's like, you should try this. You should try this, because it's kind of in limbo, right? I was serving, so I've served Jack Astor's, Swiss Chalet, Red Lobster, Pizza Hut, all the things.
Cool.
So definitely was out being social with that serving career, right? And then I moved to Toronto. I was a waiter at Red Lobster in Toronto, and I went to George Brown, and it just went from there. But even back then, even my friend said to me, Damian, like, he goes, when I started this, I didn't even know how to turn on an Apple computer, right? So I've had all G3, G4, G5s, towers. Like back then, if you had a G3, you were the man, right?
Yeah,
the blue model, all of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that the PC? Is that the computer?
Yeah. So Apple, like, I didn't even know how to turn one on. So it's come a long way, you know?
It's definitely. Yeah. It's, but yeah, you look at, it is, I want to get into this with you because,
Sure.
being in the creative space, it's like, how do you, I know creative people, artists, designers always have a struggle, it seems, to monetize and see the value in that, and I want to get into this with you because I feel like you unapologetically have done this with yourself. We've had some conversations, and I think one of our conversations years ago, I don't know what we were talking about, but I just remember you saying, if someone can't afford you, fuck them. There's a million clients out there.
Yeah.
And for some reason that, of all the things we've talked about, that one thing you said has always stuck with me. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, if someone is not willing to pay what I'm worth,
right,
see you later. Right?
Well, it goes also, I try to explain, there's an impressions, right? How many times they're going to use this brand. I still see brands 10 years later, people haven't changed their logo. That's 10 years.
Good point.
So back then, I would get $200. Like, oh my God, $200. Holy.
For a logo.
Yeah. And they're still using it on their email blasts and their signatures on buses, vans, TV commercials. I see myself all the time. People won't even know that I made it. Some of the old stuff. L82, that L on the L82 vans, I made that.
Did you really?
Yeah. Way back.
There you go.
And I still want them to change it, but they're like, we're keeping it. I was like,
I want them to change it too.
Back then, not throwing that, but I just got a little money for that. And I thought, man, but that has been on millions of their projects. So definitely they can find the money. They can, I just feel like your personal brand or your big business, small business, that brand mark is a big deal.
So how do you, and
those
I agree.
assets, like they're going to take those and run with them forever.
Oh, of course.
So and one big thing about the monetizing it, you don't really make money on the time where I'm laying in bed thinking how I'm going to figure this out.
Love that you just said that.
All my nights before I go to, I'm laying there like this. How am I going to get out of this? How am I going to build this? How am I going to create this? And people don't see those hours. So sometimes they see me on the street. I seem a little off. I'm like, because I'm always thinking about how to like create this stuff.
So how do you go about that conversation with somebody who doesn't quite get it before you tell them where to go?
Yes.
Right? Because, and it sounds like you could touch on a few things, right? Like, man, I spend hours thinking about this shit.
Yeah, days.
It's not
months.
like it's
days,
not like
months.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even get the job, and I've already created it in my brain. You're like, oh well, we can't do it. I'm like, well,
right.
Yeah, screw you guys.
Yeah.
I still send you a bill.
Yeah.
So what does some of those conversations look like? Because obviously, you want the sale. It's your business.
Sure.
You need the revenue, but at the same time, you can't spend all like an obnoxious amount of hours convincing somebody who just doesn't get it.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to let it go. Yeah. But it's hard because you see the money, you're like, man, but I could do that.
Well, not even just see the money. You probably see you can see the outcome of what this would do for their business.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good point. Well, yeah, and I mean, if you're getting into a business where they can add that logo to apparel and sales and the amount of money they're going to make off that small investment up front, I just, but then, I don't know, man, that's where there's these platforms now that like
Yeah.
Design Pickle, Fiverr, all that shit.
I'm competing with India, like an entire country.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
I'm competing with AI now. I'm
right.
competing with a
I wanna
handful of
ask about
designers that just working in their basement, living at their parents' house. I'm competing with all these people now, right? But I do find a lot of people might go that lower end route or pick Fiverr, Pickle, all these things.
Yeah.
And they'll still end up calling me saying, hey, I'm not happy with that.
Yeah, I've had that happen too.
Yeah.
But what I want to, when you look at a brand that you design, it's very holistic in nature. And I think and I said that earlier, when I see a Damian Box brand, I know it's a Damian Box brand. There's something about it that it's refined, it's sophisticated, but also you have this holistic approach where it's not just a logo. I feel like, and I don't know if I imagine you do this intentionally, but the images that you create around the logo and the look and the feel, like when I see a brand that you develop, I get a feeling. Is that intentional?
Yeah, I think timeless.
Yeah.
Timeless, minimal, and we were talking about that earlier about being minimalist, right? Like people come to my house, they're like, man, I'm getting serial killer vibes. I'm
Where's
like,
all
that's
the
a
stuff?
good thing. I'm happy. Because being a minimalist, taking away all the things, it's actually a skill. It's a skill set, because some people, they just clutter. They just live in like their garage is full, things are falling over, everything. But I live very clean, very minimal, so I bring that into the design process and just stripping everything away. But people can't see that. They want to add a drop shadow. They want to add fade and texture.
Yeah,
and
see,
text
that's a
stuff.
whole
They
other thing.
can't help themselves.
No.
They think, man,
I
I'm just
know.
going to just keep smothering it, right?
I know.
But I just pull it all back and say, but this is the refined thing you need. But to get to those simple marks, that's what takes time. People just see that Nike swoosh and think, oh, someone just made that. But like, if you want that simple, clean mark that tells what you do, that's what I don't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is somebody's hiring you and they need this drop shadow, and you're like, dude, I'm the bloody designer. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh,
So
man.
definitely you get some pushback, and sometimes, you never want to say it, but sometimes I just how far the client relationship goes. Sometimes you can bend, and I'm like, you know what, I got to ship this because we're all in business too, right?
Yeah.
So 90% of the time I'll push, but sometimes if that's what they really want, I said, listen, you just won't see it on my website.
Yeah. I guess that's that compromise sometimes, right? That we all have to
100%.
have as business owners.
Yeah.
We talked about, hey, see you later, screw it if you're not doing it my way. But in reality, you do have to compromise a little bit, I guess. But
there's like you said, going back to, there's always going to be more clients, and like we still haven't even. There's the whole world, right?
Yeah.
The internet's a big place.
Yeah.
And I've thought about these, like the AIs out there and whatnot, and because you can literally prompt a model and it gives you something that's fairly, decent. But I mean, it never spells the words right?
Yeah.
Like there's still a lot of limitations there, which I'm sure will get better and probably are already better since I've last used it. But the human touch, I think,
you always need the nuances of the person behind it.
Unless you're going to spend weeks training
there's
a model.
intricacies. Yeah, you can't get there with AI. I use AI, just generative fill and stuff for images and whatnot, but any real vector work I'm doing.
You need those layers, right?
You need,
Yeah, you need those specific. And I mean, vectorizing is a very unique skill that you may not get with these other, kind of third-party $20 logos, right? So if you want the Tasmanian devil throwing a football in your logo, I mean, then go to Design Pickle and get it done for $20, right? That's a dime a dozen. But if you want a thoughtful, refined, sophisticated brand, holistically, then that is where you really need someone. We had Chef Chad Stewart on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He speaks super highly of you because you were very you were the main guy, like doing his brand, driving his brand. I don't know that he understood that until he brought you on. Yeah, and I mean, it looks kick out. We've got his like business cards over there or something. And it's such a, I wear his hat. It's it's just a cool brand and a kind of a holistic, I mean, talk about, fully 3-dimensional brand.
And that's what I wanted for
him.
him. And that's what I want for everybody. But some people, they might not see the big picture.
Yeah.
They just don't think big enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very small sometimes. Like, oh, we just need a logo. Just give me that logo. I'm like, but it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's part of the education process.
Right,
Maybe that
right.
you have these conversations with clients. And if they do get it, then they're a good fit. If they don't get
that's
it, then...
another thing. It's got to be the right fit. Some people just...
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you started, maybe not from the beginning of the journey, sort of midstream, and now you're going it on your own.
Yes.
Like how do
Independent.
you decide that, the brand is your name and you don't go with a company name and come out like, what did that thought process sound like?
I think about that all the time because like I think about names. I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool name to have as my brand I do. That's a good question you bring up. I do feel like everyone says that. That's a good question.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
As you're thinking about the answer, you're buying yourself time. That's a good question. You're like, shit, how do we answer this? Because it is a good one, but it's a hard one to answer because the personal branding thing. It's a tough one.
I just feel like your name. I personally, any recommendation, I think everybody should have their name and buy that domain if you can.
I
think
just
for your own personal game, your own hustle.
Yeah.
You never know.
No, getting into the podcast world, there's some big, like the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, right.
It's his bloody name. Like Word of the Hustle and Grind.
Yeah.
It's not the Scotty and Ryan show.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So it might come to that.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
But
you never know.
Right? And I like where you said, buy your own domain. I've thought about it.
Yeah, just buy it.
I've never done it.
It's like $13.
Man.
Hopefully some.
Maybe. Yeah. If you're lucky.
Buy .org.gc.gov.
Yeah. So my email.
Cover all your bases.
There's a guy who gets all kinds of emails that are supposed to be mine because his name is Wayne Scott.
Oh, really?
But he took Scott Wayne at gmail.com.
Yes.
Oh.
And I'm like, what do you mean? So, and he, because I don't know how he ended up finding me and emailing me. So I got a number in my email because he took Scott Wayne at Gmail. And he's like, I don't know. I just switched my names around. I'm like, you dick. You stole my email address. He's like, sorry about that. And I'm like, well, it's your fault. You're getting he's like, all these committee member meeting notes. And he's like, just getting all my emails. Anyway.
I was working with Red Rhino and we were trying to buy a domain back. An Instagram handle and some rand. I don't remember the handle, but the junior designer there, I put him on the job. And then I was like, just offer a little bit. He's like, I think he offered like $1,000. I was like, dude, you can't just throw out that kind of money yet, man. We already got the guy kind of hooked, right? But it didn't work out. But I guess my point is, you can get handles if you need them. If you see somebody with a handle you want, you should message them.
That's a game. There's cats out there that are buying domains to hold them.
I'm bidding on a new clinic right now. I'm designing a new clinic brand. And I'm trying to get their bid with Google right now.
Really?
Who sells websites? GoDaddy.
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy. They're trying. I'm doing the bidding right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you're going through
that. Started at $500 USD, and I don't know where it's going to go, but they want it.
It's a business. It's a big business, right? If you can anticipate. I mean, obviously, I think there's rules and regulations around. You can't buy Walmart.com when it expires or something like that. But if you can anticipate certain things that are happening, I mean, people just buy domains all over the place.
Yeah.
And they just sit on it for years until someone needs to bid on it, right? So
it's funny. Circling back to the name thing, having your own name as a brand. I got the best story for branding. I went into Richard's Clothier, and he was gonna. We had the name. It's like a. Give me a sec here. 2 seconds. It was something street clothing or whatnot. And I said, well, we can't just call it inner city fashion. I said, listen, Richard, we are not calling your store inner city fashion. He's like, no, listen, he's got all these lapels already made. He's like, we're doing inner city fashion. Okay. I said, listen, you don't sell basketballs. You don't sell street clothing like Jordans, all this stuff. No. You're selling nice suits. Yeah. And he's like, because he hired me to do the branding to help him get this off the ground. They brought me in to give him a little assessment. So I said, no, we're not doing inner city fashion. And I said, no, man. I refuse. And he was adamant about London, this. Ontario. I said, listen, what's your name? He goes, Richard. Yeah. I said, said, what's your name? He goes, Richard. I said, Richard's Clothing.
Right.
Okay. You got Channers, you got Joseph.
Yeah.
Richard's Clothing.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, man. And now he loves it because everyone comes in, they're like, hey, you're Richard. They get to meet you. You're the owner.
See,
so
that's
right.
That's
Inner city
worth
fashion,
gold right
Richards,
there,
boom.
right? I mean, he could have gone down an entirely different path.
100%.
You know, his brand, his reputation, just
And I don't know if
completely
Richard
different.
seems like he grew up in the inner city.
And that's another thing. No.
Right? Like, come on, Richard.
Yeah.
But man, I
told him. And he's going to hear this and he's going to laugh.
Yeah,
Inner
that's
city
good,
fashion.
though.
Richard,
But
you made a
now
good
he's
That's why
bumping.
you need the professionals, right? To kind of
Well,
have
that's
that.
the thing, to hash it out.
Yeah,
and
hash it
work
out.
on it,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. As a graphic designer, kind of coming up, and designing logos and that sort of thing. Not to your level, but there have been people in our city, and I see RGD.
Yes.
And there's been people like yourself, Jason Recker, I think
Right.
Robin Honey. There's a
Yes.
there's a strong group of designers in London that I've always aspired to and been very inspired by.
Thank you.
What is the RGD? Can you take us through that?
Yeah,
it's
so
like a
just registered graphic designer, do some
Yeah.
courses, do the tests, and then you just get, I think you have to start with a degree, and then it just becomes a kind of like like a PhD. So you add it to your name as a registered graphic designer. So
totally.
you're part of that association.
Nice.
And it's just a level of ethics, right? Because there are some ethical things that go down.
Yeah.
Right? People overcharge, people undercharge, people don't pay for stock photography, people don't pay for typefaces.
Yes.
So
All of a sudden,
there's ethics to this stuff, right? People are just tracing vectors and using it as their own, and I have to stand by that, and I can't just give you a product that I copied or I traced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely the ethics part is a big one, and you can be sued, charged.
There you go.
If you're putting out content or
So-
media that's not.
Yeah. So I don't think, the guy in his basement doing a $20 logo is worried about ethics.
Yeah, no, right?
Or
So-
or likely even has a true understanding of some of those risks, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Leading with honesty, right? And I wouldn't be in business if people didn't trust me. If people didn't, it's a small city, it's a small world.
Yeah,
right? I go to
absolutely.
Toronto. I'm
It
working
is.
halftime in Toronto now. Like you see people all the time, and if you're a shiesty person, then they're just
We've
it's going to
talked about
carry
that
you.
Oh my God,
And
have
in
we
your
ever?
business life and personal life, they're aligned.
Yeah.
So if you're walking around
Yeah.
doing shady things, doing all these things, that's going to follow you, and people will want to do business with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to run a tight ship. And
Yeah.
even me being like putting myself out on the show, like I said it to you, all people need to know is you're the best designer for the job. You're the guy for the job.
Yeah.
Right. I don't talk about Trump, my politics, and all these things because
Yeah.
well, they need to know that.
It's not
Yeah.
relevant.
They just
Yeah.
need to know that I'm the guy for the job.
Nice.
And so you
It's
mentioned
easier that way too.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I start
it is.
typing online and I stop. I'm like, no, don't write. I'm like, this mother. I'm like, no.
Delete.
Yeah, I just keep it.
Backspace.
You got to run a tight ship, because it will. London's small,
Yeah.
and if you're, no one can say, oh, that guy owes me money. That guy did this.
We're all connected, man.
But the RGD, definitely it helps the business, helps the brand.
Nice.
Just elevates what you're putting out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's
So-
great to know, right? Because again, you're not just paying for the logo, you're paying for the years and years of studying, of
Yes.
thought, of experience with,
Right.
ethics and all that, there's so much, right? And hopefully there's people listening that this will really help, right? In terms of like, if they're going to start a business or they're thinking about it, like, I'll just get a logo done, and like pay $50 for it, whatever.
Right.
But what about all these other things? And what about
do
a
it
year
properly
down the
the
road?
first time.
Yeah, do it properly
I
the first
tell
time.
people, you're not going to come back to this 2
Yeah.
years later. Oh, we want to change the logo. Why don't we do it right the first time?
Yeah.
Spend some money.
Yeah.
And even through impressions, just saying, like, if you use it like 15 cents a day for 3 years, like say that's $5,000, like that's not a lot of money. Start if you actually calculate.
Oh, I like that.
Right? If
Okay,
you,
so
if you divide the price by day and how
Yeah.
much they're using it every single day.
I've never
it's-
thought of that, man.
It's like literally
Yeah.
30 cents a day. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you can do that math for somebody, go
Yeah.
walk through that exercise
Right.
and give them a bit of a time horizon. You can go, oh, okay, well, maybe 2 seconds ago they almost fell off the chair when you gave them a quote.
Yeah.
But
But when you start thinking about why you're investing that kind of money and what it's actually costing you over the long term.
And marketers and people who there we go with the mic.
Yeah.
People who I lost my train of thought. Oh, the money you put into your business is the money you're going to receive in the end also, because people will I'm actually a little bit of a brand whore. Like I look at things, I'm like, they didn't spend. I can't trust them if they're going to spend little on their brand. What are they going to give me? Right.
Yep.
This
You're speaking in the choir, man.
They're not spending a lot of money on that. Then what kind of floors am I going to get?
It's the level of detail that
People are smarter now, right? Consumers are smarter.
Consumers are smarter, and you go to. I don't know. You go to a restaurant, you go in the bathroom. The bathroom's just a complete
Trash,
mess.
yeah.
Then it's these details. You're like, oh shit. Okay, they're not paying attention to this. What's happening in the kitchen,
right.
and then you go down this thing. So and I'm the same way. Like I look at brands, it drives people around me crazy because I become obsessed with it.
Yeah.
The kerning and font and all that. You and I could
all day
have an OCD conversation.
Tracking, letting,
how far the letters are and how close they are together.
I just spend a lot of my hours.
Term for that.
Okay,
it's called letting, and then also the tracking between the words.
Yeah, so
I look at that stuff all the time.
Yeah, you would have to, right? And every pixel counts.
Yeah.
Right? Every pixel counts. I mean,
sorry.
No, it's all good. It, over the years, just different businesses I've been involved in.
Yeah.
You get a designer and it looks good, but you're like the buff, like the padding on a button, for example, like on a website, right? It's like, no, like that's not centered. That looks like shit.
Yeah, and you're not even a designer and you notice that.
Yeah.
So, right?
Yeah.
So I'm big on that. I think for me, branding typography, that's another thing with RGD. You need to know typography.
Yeah.
And you know why you look at the design and know why you like it. It's usually the typography.
Yeah.
But it might not register, be like, oh, that looks clean, looks nice, but the typography is really sharp. So those are some of the design elements in a design with the typography that really resonates with me. I can tell. I see logos when they blow them up and the letting's off.
Yeah,
I know right away. Man, who made that?
But you have that trained eye, right? It's like an architect. It's like someone that's like a mechanic looking at a car that can see something that's off. Like you just have that innate ability.
It's intuitive.
It's intuitive, right?
Well, so going back to my past, I was the senior designer for Caesars Windsor. So
really?
When I first started getting into design, I was working for a small company in London, and they were kind of at each other, and I was like, I got to get out of here. One of my friend's dads, I was designing his trailer hitch company. I was doing all the labels and everything. He said, Damian, there's this job in Windsor. He just showed me a news article ad posting for a designer because they were changing Windsor Casino to Caesars, right? So I got hired to help do all the wayfinding, all the signage, the billboards, like everything in that casino. Like I was your OG designer of that.
Wow. So do they have, when you roll into that gig, like a fairly detailed inventory of all the different shit, or is it a bit of a wild goose chase just trying to identify all of the pieces?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's like all the signage, they call them Duratrans because back then they didn't really have TVs yet. They were getting into the whole digital side, but a lot of them we would be replacing that. So I would walk the floor every day. People just came all day, just cling, 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 cling.
Oh, yeah.
So the old people would be like, oh, you're such a nice young man. Are you going to be here all weekend? And like, yeah, maybe. So, I moved to Windsor on my own.
Did you?
And Windsor sometimes gets a bad rap, but I moved there and I was just solo on my own, got the job on my own, went to the interview. They loved me. And I designed my resume to look like a casino.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was there for almost 2 years. I went to the Red Bull races. They sent me to Vegas for training.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to Vegas for training. Yeah. But that job made me what I am now. And
that's cool.
Shout out to my friend Norm Roussel. He was like, "No, your type's not. You got to tighten things up. You got to get better at your type." Right?
Kind of mentored you a little bit.
Definitely mentored
That's
me.
pretty good,
right?
Yeah.
So that mentor, Jason Recker, was a big mentor for me.
Nice.
When I started doing the freelance business, he's like, "No, Box, you got to charge more."
Yeah.
He's like, you got to do more.
I know Jason's very he's an advocate for that.
Week.
Did you? Yeah, he's great, man. Jason Recker in London. He's got record design. He designs these really cool.
Oh, the painting, everything,
paintings and shit. You got to see this stuff, man. So maybe we'll have him on the show at some point.
So it's a tight little community. Essentially, you're competitors.
Yeah, but we work together. It's, we say competitor. Like he got me Western. I do a lot of stuff for the university, Siskins. Like,
right on, man.
So he actually got me in with the university, and they send me the odd Like I even do some of their publications.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you go from Caesars right into becoming your own business owner?
So
How did
I came back.
journey?
So the big journey, went to George Brown, came back to London, was serving at the Keg. I had a job at Red Lobster. It's Jackassers for like a minute. I'm like, I can't come back to London and be at Jackassers. That's just painful. The Keg, there's no kids there. I was like, okay, I can serve. There's no kids, easy money. And then I got a job with some friends that had like a little wine business. And I was doing that. And then the Caesars thing came about, and then Caesars really made me. Caesars, like, I came out like a made guy, right?
Yeah.
So Caesars was it. I came back with all this confidence. I was like, learned so much.
Yeah.
And then came back, and I actually remember Yo-Yo's frozen yogurt, the frozen yogurt business.
Yeah.
So I was in that. I was opening up those stores with Jan King. I was helping her open these Yo-Yo stores, but I was doing all the branding and marketing for that. I was going to the stores, opening up, franchising them, right?
Okay, yeah.
And
very cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was a good experience, right?
Yeah.
But I brought all that other experience to that, right? So Yo-Yos just look legit, and then the other guys were all trying to copy what we were doing, right? And
Good luck.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Night.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So I did the Yo-Yos thing, and then during that, I started the VC, Venture Cover.
Okay, cool.
So VC Magazine,
Yeah.
right? Covering your venture. Mike had a Moody. Him and I are like best friends. He came to me, and I was doing the magazine covers to promote myself on Facebook and socials. And then VC came about, and then that became full time. So I quit Yo-Yos. And during the VC time, I built a big client list because I had to sell ads for this, right? And all the marketing. I was out there. If anyone's been to enough networking events, it's me, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm barfing network events, right?
Yeah, I've got that on the list to ask you.
Yeah,
Networking,
right? So
right here.
networking was like my thing, and I was already good at it from the DJ stuff. So everything's like a perfect storm almost, right? So the VC thing, networking, and this had a big social component, right? Events. I was always out there in the streets doing this. My buddies would see me downtown, even Toronto, like, man, you're always out there campaigning, right? Just with the signs, campaigning, right? They're selling fucking D-bots, always campaigning.
Grinding it out, dude.
Yeah.
Right?
So
like that.
always campaigning.
That's admirable.
And keeping networks. Somebody says, man, you still talk to that guy? You go, yeah, man, you just throw out a
never
message.
know.
You never know. You got to keep people, and a lot of this is friends too, business. It's all, like I said, your business life and your personal life, it all comes together.
Yeah.
So VC gained a lot of clients from that, and then I just went on my own.
Really?
COVID was kind of the nail in the coffin, just because I just couldn't. It was a lot of weight of the magazine, and putting this out. Even
publications are heavy,
it's heavy.
lift,
And I still work
right?
for publications now. I work
It's
for
a heavy
Municipal World,
lift.
and the magazines, like what we're putting out with Municipal World right now, is really cool.
Municipal World?
Yeah, Municipal World. It's
Tell me about that.
so it's in St. Thomas in Union. And it's publication. I had some in my bag and didn't bring them. It's all over Canada. I work with Anthony Gibbons, and and we have another magazine publication. But they're busy.
Well, the reason I ask is
like
because
municipalities.
my day job is with PSD Citywide.
Okay.
Little shout out to the crew there.
Hey.
But PSD
Yes.
stands for Public Sector Digest.
Okay.
So they were a publication before it became a software company.
Right.
You're writing a publication on best practices for local government, and then some of those best practices start to talk about software, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Like there's a gap here. There's a need, right? So that's interesting. I'd love to chat more about
and they do lots of stuff like all over Canada. It's been around since 1851.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm doing the marketing kit right now. Like I go to their
Nice.
office, and it's an old school office with like paint. Like it's like a real old office in Union. It's kind of a hidden gem there.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'll have
that's
to check
wild.
it out.
Yeah.
So the VC magazine, for those that haven't seen it or heard of it, I mean, this was like a high end magazine. I mean, we're looking at it right
still
now.
is. Like,
you've got
the aesthetic of it now
it's
is
just
still legit.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Like you really want to there it is there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the people that
So
you
entrepreneurs,
feature, the entrepreneurs,
feature,
and there's our list right there of guests that we can
just right? And they've all gone on to do great things.
Yeah,
right? So-
yeah, no, and that was, and I think that's where I started to really start to pay attention to you through the VC magazine.
Right.
I don't know if I was back doing my own thing for my corporate gig or whatever, but it just really stopped me in my tracks because I'm like, this is different, man. You know, like, and you were really paying attention to the details. You're really like, you were, again,
It's my baby.
It's for sure, right? I mean, and unapologetic about, you know, really making this kind of a high end, featured product.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. I thought maybe you had your branding company before this, but
No, it
VC
stemmed
started
from
and
this.
then nice.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, because I gained so much traction with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Damian Box Branding evolved from this, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
This is the real deal, man.
Yeah. No,
So
it's great.
Yeah, well, my goal was like literally, and that's how meticulous I was. Every page you land on, I wanted it has to be beautiful, right? It has
Even
to
the
work.
ads.
Even the ads.
Yep.
I help people design the ads.
Yeah.
All the photo shoots. We're doing fashion shoots for it.
So good, man.
Definitely helps. But the Caesars too, the typography.
Right.
I did all their direct mailers, like campaigns, like thousands.
So
of
you're
projects,
touching
right?
like so many corners of what the design game demands.
Yeah.
How did you man, with the weight of COVID coming down and putting this baby to bed?
I was in Bali during COVID.
You're in Bali.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you in Bali. Yeah. You just fucked off and went to Bali.
I was doing some stuff with F45. I was helping my friend. They opened F45 in Bali. And she said, you should come out here. And then the owner was like, hey, can you design some ads for us? Got a free membership. And then I was staying there for like 3 months. Nice. And even that place, like the energy of it, like, you know.
I remember seeing that too. That's how my...
Sorry, you were going to say...
No, I like the emotional roller coaster of like deciding to put this to bed.
I know. You know what? It's funny that you say that too, because it was like such a... I still struggle with it.
Yeah.
Because I just loved it so much.
Yeah,
right?
man. I can only imagine.
And even... working with Municipal World, he's like, man, you got to bring that back. We got to do something here because we know there's nothing like this in London. Yeah,
that's what was really cool about this is that, you know, we're in London and you see this, you're like, this is not London, and like you brought a different level to this, and I that kind of segues into something I want to ask you too with London. I mean, you just talked about being in Bali. You go everywhere, right? You could succeed in any part of this globe. And, you know, we're lucky to have you in London.
Thanks, man.
But why? Like, why London? Like,
what is it?
And we ask this a lot about people because this is a London-based kind of podcast. Right. And we're like, look, we want to support London entrepreneurs. We want to, like, promote London and say, hey, this is a good place to do business because we own businesses here. I think it is, right? But from your point of view, you know, what is it about London that keeps you here?
Well, I think knowing that I can travel is a bonus, right? You're not definitely bound to London. Yeah. I do have a big network in London, right? But I'm right now I'm half and half. I've been going to Toronto half time. So, but as for London, I think I just grew up here, and the vibe for me is it's easy for. I don't want to say the word easy because nothing's easy, right? Like
I know what you mean, though.
You know,
but
it can feel too comfortable sometimes. You know, I have scaled back my networking just because I've been out there so much. Yeah. But as for London as a city, I think there's definitely a lot of entrepreneurs here. Yeah. A lot of people trying some new things. Could get ramped up a little bit faster. You know, I feel like here you got to massage people and you got to help them. And,
little conservative and being open-minded to try and like a new angle and new approach. Yeah.
Because I find, and Toronto's not the end-all be-all. Like, Toronto's not the mecca. It's Toronto, right?
Yeah.
But I feel there, though, people are more like, hey, you got to meet this guy. You meet him, boom, you start working together.
Yeah.
Here, you meet him, you got to,
it takes a while.
I was actually chatting with somebody about this the other day. Yeah. I had some buddies that went out west, to go to like Calgary or something, right? Yeah. And, in the sales world, when you're trying to knock on doors and you just want to have a conversation with somebody, right? Cold calling, and we talked about hitting the phones, and and my buddies go out west, and they you hear about these meetings that they book, and there's cats taking meetings that they're not even in the market for what you're selling, but they'll chat with you.
Yeah.
They'll grab a cup of coffee.
Well, 'cause you never know.
Shit,
You never
right?
know, yeah.
Yeah.
They're willing to open that network door. Without just immediately. Like, I feel like so many people just shut shit down around here.
Yeah.
It's like they won't even have the 5-second conversation to explore whether or not it's worth even just having a conversation without any expectations.
Yeah. I mean, it might be changing. We had Pablo Tovar on. We were talking about that.
Legend.
Just a rock star. And you guys know each other well. You work together.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that, saying, there's a lot of Colombians and Latinos here in London, and a lot of them are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And that perhaps could be changed in the landscape of how business is done in London, perhaps, right? Which I think it's a great thing, right? London's changing, becoming a lot more diverse. I think that that's a great thing for business, and that might change, right? Because I know it is frustrating when you're like, dude, I just want to have a 10-minute conversation with you. I'm not even trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to explore with you if this is a fit.
Yeah.
And even that's a hard
I think
sometimes.
London's a lot of complacency. People are just okay with status quo.
Yeah.
Work here, go home, chill.
Yeah.
Maybe drink beer in the garage. I don't know what people do, but maybe it's a little complacent sometimes.
Yeah.
People don't want to. They're good where they're at.
Yeah.
And they may not want to see that extra.
Yeah.
Go the extra mile.
I agree. The conservative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go back to the conservative word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's, I'm, again, with kids, try to give them opportunities, but it's sometimes it's about helping them understand, and it doesn't necessarily just be about kids, but, this whole lifelong learning. Like, are you willing to try to learn something new? If you're definitive in your mindset about, like, this is just the way it is because this is the way it's always been, then you're not going fucking anywhere.
Not to ruffle feathers, but it might be a cultural thing too. My dad was a big pioneer, entrepreneur guy. He always gave people a chance, right? Brought people in from Jamaica, sponsored them, my cousins, and they're hard workers, and they, he was always about giving people a chance, right?
Yeah.
So
he had his DJ company here in London.
So we used to before the drink. It was the drink, I think, or the knack.
The knack.
Oh my God!
So my dad was a big, all ages, like
really
the guys,
That is cool. And so I guess going back to the beginning of our conversation, so that entrepreneurial spirit, and you just kind of grew up being around that. And
he brought all these Jamaican goods, wooden little trains and toys, and we used to sell them at the flea market. I'd go and hang out with my dad, and he tried back in the day, right? To always do something. He was always trying to
So that
stuff.
was just kind of ingrained in you, I guess, from a young age. So it was inevitable that you're going to be a business owner, I would think maybe, at some point.
The evidence along the way just kind of led you down a path, right, I guess?
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah.
But I go back to the whole personal brand thing. I think your personal brand, how you act, how you conduct yourself, how you dress, all of it, I think, works together.
So I'm going to ask you another...
keeping your head up high kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you another good question.
Talk to me.
So, just looking at even this card in general.
Yes.
Like, again, we talked about you going with the personal brand, Damian Box. How, I've always been curious about, caps, all caps... lowercase,
that's a good question.
Sometimes it's a feel, man. It's a feel
right?
sometimes.
Because Damian Box Branding, it's all lowercase,
right?
Right?
It just didn't feel right uppercase. Yeah, no,
but
that's
then you look at
Dr. Ayani there,
and it's all caps,
all caps,
right? And then
Career Cannabis,
When is that just it's a feel?
Yeah, I think it's a feel. Yeah, I definitely go with. Yeah, I tried so many font typefaces before you actually can get to where you want to go. But yeah, I feel sometimes lowercase might be more inviting because I've been kind of doing lowercase lately, and I feel like it is more maybe readable because all caps sometimes
it's like you're
so
shouting
strong.
or
it's
something,
almost
right?
too powerful sometimes. Yeah, because my
Yeah.
brochures before that were all caps, right? So
That's a good question.
I'm going to say
Sky.
it's a feel.
So you've rebranded your own.
Oh, I'm rebranding right now. That's why I wanted to push the date because I got a whole new website. I got that, I got a lot of projects no one's even seen.
Do you?
Yeah.
So your new site's
because
gonna list all the shit.
I got a whole bunch of new stuff.
I'm excited to see.
I got a lot of
what
stuff
you
in the
got
hopper.
going on.
Just hard to.
When do you launch?
So, failure to launch.
Well,
Hey, man,
paralysis by
when do you
analysis.
Yeah, about that.
Right now,
It's a
on
moving
the
target.
show, launch
it's
now.
a moving target.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's actually hard to get to your own brand.
Yeah.
And work with all these other brands. By the time,
Yeah, dude.
even 10:30 rolls around now, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I'm going to bed, right?
Yeah, man.
And I get the grind. You got to keep pushing, but like, we've been doing it so long. It's
And now you want this one to be
yeah,
extra special and right.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'll show you guys I got some
Yeah.
new logos I've been rolling out. So
I think that's a huge challenge for a lot of business owners.
Yes.
That, and it is something to really pay attention to, is that you spend so much time and energy and effort in with your clients. And
Yeah.
then when it comes to your own brand, your own business, you just
Yeah.
don't pay
Run
attention
out of
to it,
gas,
right?
yeah.
And I think that, and I've tried to get better at this with my own business, work on my business instead of in
Yes.
it. And it's really been helpful. It really has, because there's been some blind spots that my
Yeah.
business partner and I have seen with kind of taking a step back and being like,
Yeah.
holy shit, we never would have seen that if we just kind of kept our head down.
Right.
So it's good to kind of come up for air sometimes and protect that time in a way, right? And I just think,
So you calling Damian out here on his shit?
no, not at all. I'm calling myself out on
block
my
some
own
time,
shit.
Damian.
Yeah, just block some time, Damian. It's easy because I haven't done it in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, but you said work on, not in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and the whole thing of scaling the business. That would be my biggest. Do I hire people? Because then I know people who own businesses, and I know people who own design agencies, and I see their struggle. I'm like, man, do I want all those problems? Do I want to hire people? Now they've got to be responsible for these people's Christmas. I don't want to ruin Christmas, man. I love Christmas.
It's a
I don't want to ruin
different
Christmas.
process of
Yeah,
thinking,
so
right?
now
Yeah.
I've got to take care of these people.
Yeah.
But me, it's just me.
Yeah.
If I can don't wash the dishes,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
You
True.
know?
But then how do you scale the Damian Box brand?
That's
And we've
the
had
thing.
this conversation.
Yeah. And how are they going to do it like me?
I know.
Because trust me,
No one's gonna do it like
Trust
you.
A lot of
issues all
low-end
over the
desi-
joint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of low end
Yeah.
design. I'm like, man, I
Yeah.
gotta fix this. I should have just made it myself.
Yeah.
So this whole scaling
Yeah.
word is,
Yeah.
We've had this conversation before.
yeah, it's a tricky one. But at the same time, I still need money. I want to make
Yeah.
money, and
Yeah.
obviously want to attain wealth or
Yeah, there is. I mean, you can be successful. Both things are true.
Yeah.
You can be very successful as a personal brand and just be yourself and
Right.
and do that until you're 80 years old, maybe. Or you can scale your business from a brand and find people that are like you. They're not going to
Yes.
be exactly you, but maybe you can bring them in and train them and have process, right?
Yeah.
And have systems. I know it's hard in the creative
It's
world,
hard, man.
right? You can't have like, oh, do this,
Yes.
you're going to get this, because the proprietary asset and is coming from your creative mind,
right.
So how do you reproduce
Yeah.
that? That's a tough
And
one,
then
man.
it's, do I work with another partners? Do I join design agency? But now I'm in that 9 to 5 grind hustle thing where right now I do what I want. If I want to go run, I'll go run.
Yeah.
So-
That's a good one. It's a
When
it's
we
a tough
figure
one.
it out, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah. Well,
scaling term, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the phone's listening to me. Right before I woke up, turn on my phone, how to scale your business. Like they know. There was a full ad on it. I
Yeah.
even clicked through and I was like, I could keep going with this, but I was like, no, not today.
That was just
not today,
me.
Satan.
That was me sending you
Not
a
today,
message.
Satan.
saying-
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no,
that's
but
good,
as long as
man.
you're having fun at what
Yeah.
you're doing,
Yeah.
as long as you live an honest life,
Yeah.
not everything's going to be perfect, but I think as long as you can keep your foot on the gas
Yeah.
and just build that brand for yourself.
Now, is
I love that.
there low hanging fruit? Like, are there elements of your business that don't
Oh,
require
brother, all day.
like the
Yeah.
polish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, the finished product on the the polish on top, where now you can delegate some of that shit that it's got to be done.
That's what I
but
need
it's
to do.
like,
That's what
Because
you
some
need
of
to
the
do.
stuff I'm putting together,
Yeah.
and even with say Municipal World, like they've got some help there. I need to delegate some stuff because there's just some things I don't need to do.
No,
Yeah.
Right, like
Some of
that's
these
where you can
manual
relinquish
stuff.
certain
Yeah.
elements of
I've
control.
got
right?
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
I'm definitely dropped the ball on that.
But that's
I'm sitting there
but
sometimes like,
that's
why am
hard.
I doing this, man?
Yeah,
But that's
know?
a different, like, so I think sometimes these days, especially with the way, social and digital and like viral videos, like people hear the word scale and
Yes.
they think of like, some tech giant scale, right? It's like,
right.
maybe
Right.
that's not the scale we're talking about here. Just
Yeah.
like you just relieving yourself from giving your some additional capacity to work
Right.
on the business
Yeah. instead
of by delegating some of those things that, isn't going like, it's not going to rock the foundation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a good point because I'm good in the streets. Like so that's the thing too. As my own business owner, I've been a hybrid. I'm actually good at getting clients, sales, all the things, right? But I'm not. The design stuff jams me up. Like I'm actually good at business building.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
Where-
for sure.
what-
Obviously, clearly.
Can you pinpoint which one gives more back to you? Like that, like is it out the network and getting the business, or is it being in the trenches designing?
I think a little bit of both for me because you make something you're like, man, I made that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then building business, you're like, man, I got that client. Like, right.
Yeah.
So a little bit of the chase is fun too. So it might be 50-50 for me. I think I like both. But I'm definitely, my friend used to always say, it's like, yeah, but D-Box, you're not, you belong out there in the streets. Like sometimes you're doing yourself a disservice just sitting there all day with the computer. Like I'm good at,
Value.
like, yeah.
Time,
Yeah.
value
Always
for
been
your
good at-
time, and
Yeah,
the sales
you are a
side.
hybrid of you're this extrovert, but you probably need that
Yeah.
alone time to think and just be with your thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And it's it is a bit of a hybrid,
But it's getting
hybrid
harder.
approach.
I think that business is getting harder,
Yeah.
right? Just
Well,
all of it
and
with all the-
we've had, there are different ways though to enter into the business world. We had a franchise lady on. You can look into that, right? There's tons of franchises you can buy into.
Yeah.
You can start your personal brand
Right.
or start a company brand, and get some investment and that sort of thing, and
Correct.
buy a brick and mortar business. There's a lot of ways to enter
Yes.
into this business
Right.
world. Sometimes I think maybe just the natural way is just kind of be yourself and enter into it. I mean, I made that mistake myself earlier on doing Belleville marketing,
Yeah.
but then eventually I just maxed out.
Yeah.
There's only so much of me to go around. Similar to
I
yourself,
feel like I could be maxing out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been
there's-
just kind of like off lately. I'm just like not
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
But I know also, we're human, right? You're going to go through
Peaks
the
and
way-
valleys.
peaks
Yeah.
and valleys, but
Yeah.
you just don't want those valleys to last too long, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And people expect you to be the guy and be out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, well, you're definitely out there, man. I mean, you're everywhere, and I know we're running low on time here.
Tight,
We'd love
man.
to keep you here all day for sure, but no, I mean, it's what a great conversation about.
Yeah, this is great, guys.
and just such an important part of business that I'm glad we got to talk about with the importance of branding, right? And having someone like yourself on that really gets it and really understands it. Hopefully, giving some value to the listeners about really why you do need to pay attention to
I think you do.
your brand,
You do.
from the start.
Yeah, from the start, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not be proud of what you have, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Why chintz out then? You built this awesome product, and
I know.
you're just gonna roll it out
Yeah.
like that. You
Yeah.
know? Why don't you explore it a little bit? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly for sure. But yeah, man, I mean, continued success. We're excited to see what you got coming up.
Yeah, I'm
you're
actually
gonna show
really
us off
excited for
camera,
this.
I think.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. I'm
when
excited
you
for the new
launch,
brand.
we'll
Yeah, a little
help
reset for me.
Yeah, we'll get you out there. But yeah, I mean, other than but people can definitely find you. How can people find you?
DamianBox.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But it's just that
Rhetorical.
website's so old, man. I gotta.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Don't check it out yet.
Yeah, don't go, don't go. Oh, too late, right? I got my buddies like Box. He goes, I just go to your site and I just hit refresh and I wait. Refresh. He goes, bro, I've been on there for a year. Refresh.
A
He just
year
sits there.
refreshing.
Yeah. He goes, I don't even go to work anymore. Just refresh in his pajamas. So I can't let the people
amazing.
down. I
Yeah.
gotta come out strong.
No, man, for
but that's
sure.
hard when you're
Yeah.
trying to also high level design.
Yeah.
It's more stressful than you think, right?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
Well,
yeah. right? You want to do high level
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I don't even, you might even said it earlier, but the
I'm
paralysis,
incapable of doing bad
paralysis
design.
by analysis
Yeah,
too.
man.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you're
just-
waiting for
it's
it to
gotta
be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sometimes you got to
And-
ship it.
and
You do.
Send it to
You
the
said
internet,
that earlier too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ship
you
your
totally
shit,
do.
man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be on our Hustle and Grind T-shirts.
Yeah,
Uh,
just ship it.
Uh,
Yeah.
Ship it, or
Yeah.
or
I like to send it to the
paralysis
internet.
by analysis.
Send it to the internet.
Good
Okay,
stuff.
this was
Okay,
good,
man.
gentlemen.
Well,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for being on our pod.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This
super
is my first time,
valuable.
man. My
Is
first
it?
time. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah,
Your
just
first
never-
podcast?
Yeah, bro.
Come on.
I'm telling you right now. So
Dude.
you guys gotta let me how I did after
Yeah,
this.
man.
did
We
great.
got a
Yeah,
first.
okay. It's a lot of
The
pressure,
Damian
man.
Box.
I
That
didn't
is
see it. I was
awesome.
like this one eye. I was like, man, I'm not gonna go out in the
Shit.
streets
Well,
again.
me neither. I was so excited
You
to
know?
have you on, man.
But this is the first time, so thank
that's
you for
good.
making me comfortable. I
Yeah,
appreciate
dude,
it.
No, it's an honor having you in here for sure, and yeah, continued success, and we'll be supporting you along the way for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay,
All right. On hustling
be
and
well,
grinding,
man.
gentlemen.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
okay,
That's
good
a wrap.
stuff.
Fighting the good fight.
That is a wrap. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Nice, awesome. Another great episode. Thanks for joining us. Please support our podcast. By supporting us, you can go to YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, go to our website, hustleandgrindpod.com. That way you can go and you can apply to be a guest. Listen to us anywhere that you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, all the channels. But we really appreciate your support. Keep listening. We have a lot of great episodes and a lot of great guests ready to go. We're going to keep coming hard at you here and digging into the hustle and grind of what it takes to be an entrepreneur and a business owner.